I've covered APP very critically in the past, so I was really surprised when APP invited me to moderate this event. But given the role the private sector must play in efforts to slow deforestation and the magnitude of APP's recent commitments, I felt it was important and appropriate for me to participate. On February 5th, 2013, APP announced its forest conservation policy, which put an immediate halt to any natural forest conversion in concessions controlled by it and its suppliers. The announcement was met with cautious optimism by a number of stakeholders, including some of APP's fiercest critics. Since then, there has been a noticeable change in how APP communicates and engages. It has seemingly become more transparent about its progress. For example, APP has self-reported a breach of its moratorium, set up stakeholder engagement processes, and granted journalists like me access to its plantations.
So this is a proud moment for all of us at APP. There have been those who said that we wouldn't implement the policy or couldn't implement it. And to them I say that we are implementing it and we intend to succeed. Despite the many challenges over the course of the year, we have made tremendous progress towards implementing our forest conservation policy. Our natural forest moratorium is proving effective. Our biodiversity and forest assessments are on track, and we have introduced a number of measures to improve transparency. All of these cannot be achieved without the full support of the APP management, our suppliers, and the field staff. And in particular, I would like to emphasize the involvement of APP shareholder Linda Wijaya, who is with us today, the lady in yellow, who has helped tirelessly drive this significant change inside the company. The panel does not consist purely of APP supporters. We did not want this event today to be a standard one-sided press conference hoping to secure endorsements by NGOs or some government officials. Instead, we have invited our two biggest critics, Rainforest Action Network and WWF. We believe that by doing this, we will be able to shine a light on the many different views that exist among those who are working to achieve lasting forest conservation. And equally, it will also help people understand the complexity of the many issues that must be tackled.
The launch of FCP has been over a year in the making. APP has been laying the groundwork to carry it out with the support of TFT. This included assessing our suppliers' readiness, engaging them to be on board with our policy, and developing the initial procedures for the implementation of the moratorium. APP has agreed to have an independent third party to evaluate our implementation of FCP. On the 30th of January, we are pleased to confirm that we have engaged Rainforest Alliance to undertake this evaluation. In October of 2013, Greenpeace released a public report that assessed APP's implementation of FCP. We are pleased that Greenpeace recognized the commitment of our senior management in FCP, that there is good progress on the ground, that APP's promise on transparency is genuine, as demonstrated by our self-disclosure on a breach by some of our suppliers. It is a balanced appraisal of our progress, which also acknowledges that there are room for improvements.
So the purpose of today's debate is to discuss these issues and try to understand the challenges for APP and various stakeholders as the FCP moves forward. This is a forum for debate, so please feel free to speak your mind and don't be afraid to ask questions.
The first time also I met Aida when, I think about 2.5 years ago, or maybe 3 years ago, myself and my team is, blocking all of the gate of APP and then, hanging the banner, really encouraging APP. It's not saying taking APP, but encouraging APP to do something right, to stop deforestation, do something right to respect the social and the community right on the ground. That time, for us in Greenpeace and the majority of our teams, still thinking like this is something impossible. I mean, encouraging the big company like APP. But we keep trying, and it's happened. It's happened in the country like Indonesia, and especially from the born and and grow up. It's not easy. It's not easy to encourage the company like APP to doing something right. But we're surprised that finally Linda come to us, we talking, we discuss, and we see some, some willingness to start doing things right. And this is something is not in Greenpeace culture, talking with the company and helping the company to implementing their policy. But in the case of Indonesia, we feel like we should be on the ground and helping the company to make this happen. With the commitment from APP, we still believe, we still confident this commitment will deliver. And for Greenpeace, it's nothing to lose. If in the end APP is making something wrong, and we will criticize again. So we will doing something, something balanced here. But again, myself and my team is confident that APP will deliver this forest conservation policy. I think because Linda Wijaya is there. So I put some, this is really something really different. See someone who's coming, if allow me to mention, coming from the family to attend the meeting with the NGO who, criticized them for many years and coming, sit down, talking. I think this is something different. And secondly, also, doing the meeting day by day, see Aida, Linda, Pak Apiao, and Pak Robin, the whole senior level management of APP is always there. So we see some really big change in terms of the how to communicate and to receive input from stakeholder. So that is first. And secondly, of course, also that there is no way to escape from the sustainability and the demand from the market. If the product from the company would like to still stay in the international market.
I really want to congratulate APP on engaging Rainforest Alliance for independent verification. I think one of the real differences between past commitments and this one is that we're going to try to measure it, and this independent verification is a critical tool. I think it's going to be absolutely imperative that it remains independent and that its scope maybe gets broadened a little bit. So I'm hoping to hear some continued commitments so that we can indicate we can verify it. But I think that independent verification is one signal that this is moving along the right track.
We are skeptical of the commitments, and that is why our call is that we need to see your commitments and in that context be verified, independently verified. So as I think Laf mentioned about the Rainforest Alliance verification, I think it's a good step towards that. Because you have to understand that APP has that history of making promises and breaking them. So this is, I think, one way to convince stakeholders like WWF, who has been there in Riau for 10 years in that context, looking at all of the problems that the company has created and the deforestation. So I think it's fair for us that we would need that assurance, that independent assurance before we can say otherwise.
I started talking to APP in January 2011, so I had a long journey with them up until February 2013 when the commitment was made. I think the demonstration is that since the policy came out, there has been no backtracking at all by the company. There's been some issues out in the field, but I would say minor ones. There's been accusations of APP dropping its commitment, but we found that those accusations have actually been involving overlapping concessions, not being done by APP. So I think there are things said that are proven to be not the company, and I just say my sense is the company is 100% committed on implementing the policy. It's put a huge team involved, making the resources available for our team to work. I'm 100% convinced that they're definitely committed, and this is going to be a success story for years to come.
Having public consultations, talking to local stakeholders, local NGOs who are often very critical is an important part of the process, and I think it's a new process for APP and from the suppliers So hopefully this time is going to be different.
And what we have with APP is an opportunity, with the seriousness that the company is taking on this issue, to get out there and try and grapple with these issues, with the government, with the communities, with the civil society. The traditional view has been that communities want to protect the forest and the company comes in and chops it down. Not always the case.
We think that commitment is not compliance, so we need to see verification. And so we really are waiting for the results of the independent verification. And I think that without having those results, and given the perhaps hundreds of land conflicts that may be in APP's concession, given the fact that management plans have not been developed and agreed with stakeholders for moving forward, and we haven't seen the implementation of those plans yet, that it's really too soon until we have verification on those issues to tell. So yeah, I think that that's kind of the threshold that we're looking at, and what I will say is that there's been a lot of progress. I was very impressed by Dewi's presentation and just how much progress the company has made.
In this collaboration, I call it collaboration, no any single paper signed by Greenpeace, none. No any single paper. And even that usually in the company they sign what they call it NDA, right? Non-disclosure agreement. And Greenpeace not signed any non-disclosure agreement when we did the collaboration. We all built this on trust. When APP share to us information, that because APP share that with trust to us. And same also when we tell APP, yes, we give you some times to implement this with stop campaign, that's also with trust. And we apply that. No campaign is happening while APP is implement this. So I will assure you there is no money involved on this. And our support is coming from our 30,000 supporters, Indonesian people.
I'm leaving this meeting feeling hopeful, and that a big part or a piece of the puzzle is moving in the right direction.
Cross-sector collaboration is key for the future of Indonesia's forest. GAR, Wilmar, APP are not enough. So we have to urge other companies to implement the real zero deforestation, which means stop conversion now, not in the next year, not in the next 5 years, not in 2020. And then also agree with Busta that the government policy, the government needs to help to resolve land tenure and special planning problems. NGOs need to continue to attack companies which are not responsible and not attacking companies who are trying to reform.